When Chad Pfeifer arrived for Big Break's 23rd season, the Palm Beaches, Florida, he immediately commanded attention from his fellow competitors.
I got, a couple odd looks when some of the other guys saw the leg, but obviously if I'm on the show, they know I got a little game.
Yeah, great swing, Chad. Good swing, bud. Solid, bud.
It didn't take long for those other guys to discover that Chad had more than a little game.
Oh, there we go.
That's on the line. That's on the line.
Wow. Chad is 4 inches from the line.
Man, figures I got to go up against the war hero. He's definitely one to cheer for. I'm cheering for him. We're all cheering for him.
Our up-armored Humvee drove over a pressure plate IED, came up through the floorboard, and knocked me unconscious. I remember hearing the helicopter coming in and waking up and not being able to feel my legs. It's just crazy to think I could have been dead, and although I lost my leg, I'm still living.
If Chad had one goal on Big Break, it was to win.
Be right.
Oh, great shot, Chad.
Thanks.
If there was a secondary objective, it was to show the world that disabled is a relative term and to serve as a friendly reminder that that little white ball never knows who's hitting it.
Is it going to be inside? If it's inside, it's fantastic. Oh, he's done it.
He's done it.
That
Wow.
is brilliant.
Good job, Chad.
Despite the early statements with his golf clubs, it didn't take long for the other competitors to put Chad to the test.
Chad, you playing with his brother?
All right.
That was a decision they would regret more than once.
He's pretty good. George and Zachary, they call him out. Chad beats them both, and they are both eliminated.
Oh,
Awesome.
Oh, my God. Chad. Good shot, Chad. Unbelievable, dude. Wow.
He's knocked out 3 people now in 2 days.
He dusted my ass. Anytime you guys want an ass whooping, there's one right here waiting for you.
Faced with the prospect of elimination in 3 consecutive episodes, Chad calmly dispatched all of the challengers, earning him the nickname
Corporal Clutch.
Corporal Clutch, man, that's awesome.
Corporal Clutch would eventually be sent home short of the ultimate goal.
Corporal Clutch didn't show up in the elimination challenge today.
Even in defeat, Chad accomplished something greater, earning not sympathy for his condition, but respect for his talent.
Dude, you're a freaking hero, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
He's inspiring. It makes you really think about life in a different perspective.
I wouldn't look at him any other way. Besides for being an athlete, he really is an athlete, and he showed us that in his time here.
I'm proud to, to come here and represent people with disabilities. Show people that amputees can do whatever they want to.
No reason you can't accomplish what you set out to. I see that in Chad, and, that's something I'm definitely going to take home with me, leaving the show.
Just thinking about my family, I know I made them proud, and just thankful I had the opportunity to come out here and show people what I'm made of.
The Big Break for 23 seasons. Spanning more than a decade, the groundbreaking series produced tour champions, Ryder and Solheim Cuppers, and of course, characters.
Hold that thing tight.
You lived their stories.
Yankee Doodle went to town riding on my wedge.
Now, catch up with some of your all-time favorites as we present Big Break, Where Are They Now? Well, Chad, it's great to see you. I think you are one of my favorite contestants from the whole of Big Break. Your story is fabulous, and the way that golf has helped you and the way that your life has been shaped because of the game is just brilliant. It's a great testament to golf itself. So great to see you. And I want to take you back to the beginning of your Big Break career. Was there an intimidation factor for you going on to the show? Because at the time, you just didn't know what you were going to expect. You didn't know the players that you were going to go up against, but you had a lot of confidence in your golf, I'm sure.
I did, yeah, and it was like you said, it was interesting for me because all the guys that were on my show seemed to know each other from either college golf or junior golf. So yeah, I was
a little intimidated just because I knew, hearing from those guys talk, they said right off Richie was one of the, best golfers on our show that they knew of. And of course he ended up going on to win that show. We were doing a golf show, right? And nobody was shooting at me or no one was trying to blow me up. So I really, the worst thing that could happen was I could get eliminated, right? And I wasn't going to die doing this show. Of course you want to get on and perform well and hit great shots, but yeah, the worst that could happen was I was going to get eliminated. So I wasn't scared in that sense.
The standard of golf on that show, I think, in my 11 seasons, was probably the best we had on any big break.
That's pretty
Oh,
good.
shot. Yeah, good start. Good start. Good shot, Chad.
Was there a feeling when you were there that the quality of golf was just phenomenal?
It was, yeah. And I that was one of the reasons I knew I was in for a tough go if I were going to, keep doing well on the show. But Wesley Bryan, Richie Wierenski, and even George Bryan is getting onto the circuit now. He's doing some professional stuff now. And yeah, you had Robert Rohanna. You had guys that could hit the ball a long ways. And just the quality of golf, like you said, was amazing for that show.
What surprised you about the show and everything that it entails?
When you watch the show and you're a fan of it, you go from action to action and you go from challenge to challenge. The whole filming process was kind of a culture shock for me because I didn't know what went into it. I'm glad I got to experience it though.
Cool. Yep.
Yeah, well done.
Chad.
What did it do for you as a golfer being on that show?
I started to get invited to do a lot of not only tournaments, but I got to do a lot of fundraising stuff around the country and around the world. Got, an exemption into the Albertsons Boise Open here in Boise. The exposure kind of just kept leading up to bigger and better things. So, and it all kind of started with the big break.
And since the show, I've obviously followed your career, but give people a sense of what you've been able to achieve since we saw you on Big Break almost 10 years ago.
I did the professional stuff, the mini tour stuff, and then the Corn Ferry for a few years after that. And then since then, we've got 3 boys now that are 11, 9, and 6. And so they're into sports. But my golfing career, though, I've been able to become a pretty big advocate for disabled golfers. So that's one of my big accomplishments. USGA's got the Adaptive Open, and adaptive golf around the world is really kind of, blown up. And it's given the opportunity for adaptive golfers to get on bigger stages. So it's been a lot of fun and a great journey.
Do you prefer adaptive or disabled? Is there what is the correct way to describe that? I don't want to offend people.
Using the term disabled is not going to offend any disabled or adaptive golfer. Myself, I don't consider myself disabled, right? Like I'm missing my leg, but I feel like I'm capable and I'm able, especially in the golf world, to have just as good as a golf game as anybody else.
I feel like without you being part of Big Break and what you've done, adaptive golf wouldn't be where it is today. Do you think that's a fair statement?
I'd like to think that's a fair statement. Yeah. I guess I've never really thought of, me being kind of like the pioneer for that. But yeah, I guess in a sense, because it was shortly after that when you started to see adaptive and disabled golf grow around the country and around the world, provided a great platform for not only me, but all disabled golfers. So that's pretty cool to think about, really.
Yeah, because I think before you came on the show, there would have been questions about, well, Chad's a great golfer, but is he going to be able to compete? Well, you could. You proved that you could. And I think that changed people's perception.
Chad, this ball is right on line. Talk about flagging it. Ooh.
Chad, shot, Chad.
They called you Corporal Clutch because you were clutch under pressure, right?
He doesn't get nervous. He's a machine. Corporal Clutch.
What are some of the moments from the show competitively that you remember? Of course, I remember when I got eliminated. That was, that was heartbreaking and upsetting just for, personal reasons.
I mean, as soon as I hit it, I knew I pulled it and knew that I was going home. I think one of the biggest things that I actually get people come up to me every once in a while still and talk about the bunker shot that I hit against Wesley. For me to have to put my
prosthetic up on the face of that bunker and then, hit the shot that I did.
Oh, it's
Awesome.
Oh my God, Chad.
Good shot, Chad.
Unbelievable, dude.
Wow.
I think Robert and maybe Tyler, the guys that were still over there they were just in shock and couldn't believe that I could do that.
Man, what he did, most people can't do it 2 legs, man. It was unbelievable.
Too good for TV.
Just
right
put it
there.
holding up there, didn't it?
Unbelievable.
And what a lot of people don't remember is I still had about a 7-8 footer that I had to make.
Did he make it? Yes, he
Wow.
Wow.
That's been pretty cool for my career and a fun story to tell.
Where did you watch the show all those years ago?
We went to Las Colinas Country Club where President George Bush hosted the Warrior Open and did a viewing party there for one of the shows.
I wish most Americans could meet people like Chad Pfeifer and others who are playing here because they'd realize that life is to be lived to the fullest.
Did people reach out to you in the days and months and years after the show, inspired by your story?
They did, yeah. And that was one of the big things that helped me in my kind of journey to help, try to inspire more people. But yeah, a lot of veterans with disabilities and without. And then a lot of people in general reaching out on either Twitter or Instagram and, really just saying it was cool what I was doing and very inspiring.
Wow.
Got it. What a performance by Chad.
That is unbelielible right there,
guys.
How tough is that dude, man, y'all?
Not letting them pick on me and taking them out when they were calling me out. So yeah, it was a lot of fun and very eye-opening to see how many people, I reached out to and I was inspiring. So it was really cool.
You mentioned President Bush and his association with the game of golf and helping wounded veterans. You've obviously had a chance to interact with some very high-profile people because of what you've done in the game of golf. That must have been very rewarding for you.
Definitely the Warrior Open was one of those, but Big Break, was my big break. And that's, it's properly named that because it's provided a lot of breaks for a lot of different golfers, not just me. But I've had a great journey since then and keep on going and keep inspiring people through the game of golf and help grow the game of golf.
What is the future for you?
I'm not doing a whole lot of professional stuff anymore. I used to feel like I had to do professional stuff to get my story out there. But with doing Big Break, getting the exposure from that and doing just countless disabled tournaments and then fundraiser events around the country, I'm able to get my story out there and, like I said, help inspire other people. So moving forward, my family's obviously the biggest part of my future, watching my boys grow up, seeing them get into the game of golf, seeing them play other sports. It's so much fun, and I'll just, keep watching them grow and see what kind of golfers they turn into. I've got a nice little foursome going with 3 boys.
Have they watched the show? Have they seen you on Big Break?
When it was airing, our oldest was 4 at the time. That was really cool because he saw me on TV and he's like, "Daddy?" I was kind of confused at first. He's sitting there in my lap or around me and he sees me on TV. I think maybe here in the next couple of years as the youngest to be old enough to kind of realize, how the show works and the concept of it. We'll be able to sit down and watch it and hopefully they'll cheer me on.
Was there a reaction from the public in terms of being recognized? And that must have been a little bit different for you once you were on the show.
It was kind of funny because if I wore pants, I could go kind of incognito for a little bit just because my leg is, probably my most defining feature. It was a lot of fun though. Just people coming up, I'd go down to the Golf PGA merchandise show and, a lot of people would recognize me. I got to have a lot of fan interaction in that sense. So it was definitely weird and uncomfortable for me to start out with, but the more it happened, the more I got used to it and I could have some fun with it.
Do people still recognize you today? They still ask you about it?
Yeah, the beard kind of throws people off because I think I had hair up top and didn't have the beard. So it kind of throws people off. But I get other disabled golfers that tell me that people come up to them all the time asking if they're Chad from Big Break. So that's kind of interesting. So that's a lot of fun though.
You live up in Boise, Idaho these days. So what's a typical day like for you?
Preferably starting out at the gym and then come back, get the boys off to school. And then usually go out to Timberstone Golf Club where I play a lot out and practice out of, come back, be done in time for boys to get out of school, and then hang out with the boys in the afternoon. So I get to enjoy golf and then enjoy a lot of family time. So it's good.
What would be your advice for an adaptive golfer who wanted to play on a potential big break? Let's say it was coming back in the future. What would be your advice for a golfer or an adaptive golfer to play on big break?
Yeah, I would just say, keep working on your game. It's don't let your disability or your prosthetic, whatever might be going on with you, don't let that slow you down. I worked a ton on my game after I first lost my leg, and that's, I was fortunate and blessed with time because that's all I had after I lost my leg, and I spent a lot of that out at the golf course. But yeah, just stay positive, take some aggression out on that white ball, and just keep practicing and playing. And there's a lot of different organizations now across the country and the world that, offer great tournaments for disabled golf. So get out, get involved with the community and, play as many tournaments as you can. And that experience will make you a better golfer.
Well, Chad, we really appreciate your time. You're one of the fans' favorites on Big Break, and you've been an inspiration to so many people across the world, whether they're an adaptive golfer, a golfer, or not even a golfer. You've been a great inspiration. So thanks very much for sharing your story and for being with us.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Great to see you again, Tom.